Hi, I'm Darren from Isotonic Studios, and I'm here today to show you an update to one of our devices that we released a few weeks ago. It's the Crossfire Euclidean mode. Now, originally, it was designed to be completely compatible with this powerhouse of a mini push style controller, the AKAI Fire, which was designed for Fruity Loops, but with our Crossfire strip from nativeKONTROL, it gives it note mode, drum mode, performance like session mode, and its own step sequencer. But it also came with MaxforLive integration, and Mark Towers, our certified trainer who created the arcade series, wanted to bring some of the Euclidean magic to this little controller. Now, it's been really popular, but we're very aware that many of you don't have the Fire, so we thought we'd bring some integration to the Push as well. So this works for both the Push 1 and the Push 2 in Ableton Live 10, and effectively what we've done is expose the controls for each of the patterns onto the screen. So I'm going to quickly show you how that works. First, you've got to dive into the device itself. So we're going to select the device, and then you've got two banks. You've got the pattern and you've got the note and the velocity. I'm going to run through the note and the velocity first and then go back to the pattern and show you how everything works together. In this mode, in this bank, in fact, both banks work similarly. You select the pattern, and as you can see from the device itself, we have everything updating. And the note itself is the note that the pattern itself will actually output from the right of it. And in this case, I'm driving a 909 core kit. Now, if you wanted to actually record the output of this device into a MIDI clip, all you would need to do is select the MIDI from and select the original track that contains the Euclidean device, arm it, set it to in, and record your clip. We've got on the rest of this, so I set the note, and C1 will be this bottom left, so actually the kick in this case. And most of the drum racks you find within Live are set up in a very similar pattern. You'll have a kick, then a rim, then a snare, then a clap. The hi-hat is generally around about 7, but obviously some of these differ. Now, as I go through the patterns, you'll notice that the note changes, and they're sequentially working up through the drum rack. The velocity side of things is over on the right-hand side of the device, as you can see here, and we can set the lowest velocity that our hit will be at and the highest as well. On this particular, it's the kick drum, so I'm going to want that 127. And we also have the velocity mode and range, which I'm going to come back to. The final control on each of the banks is the off and on element, so you can turn a pattern on directly from the Push. Let's go back to the pattern. Now, this is a Euclidean sequencer, so it works on the number of steps and the number of hits. In this case, on this first one, we've got 16 steps and 4 hits. And you can see from the device, it's equally spaced at 4 hits over the 16 steps at a rate of 1/16. So let's just turn that on. Pretty standard, as you can see. It's a kick on the downbeat every single time. Now, if I increase those hits, what it does is it preserves the first hit and then divides the rest of the space to give you those 5 hits as well. Going up to 6, 7. Let's leave it a pretty standard one. And of course on 16, which means that it's going to be consistent because 16 is quite equally divided by 4. If I changed that up to 18, for example, and I have other sequences that are not in 18 steps, then we're going to start to create some polyrhythms effectively. Let's bring that down so we've got something to compare it against. And let's move to the snare, which is going to be pattern 3. Lovely. So in this case, I've doubled the number of steps, and you can control that directly, as you can see. And I've gone up to the maximum of 32 because I want my snare to develop over a longer period. Let's turn that on. You'll notice it waited until the start of the bar so that everything stayed roughly in time. And as you can see, it's starting to move, but again, 16 and 32, they're equally divisible. So that pattern will continue the same forever, effectively. Let's start to play with some hats. Let's go to maybe 7. And in this case, I've got 32 steps. I've got 18 hits, but I'm also using the rotate. Now the rotate, what that does, let's set it back to 0, is it moves your hits by a step at a time for each one. And let's move that to 2, for example. And on this occasion, I'm going to use 16th notes, but these are triplets. So it's going to add a different rhythm to things. So let's go back to the velocity side of things. What you can see here, let's change the range to the full 32, is we have a shape that is, at this moment in time, direct up and down. But if I move the velocity mode, you'll see this dial changes. And you'll see that the shape of the velocity of all those hits changes as well. Now, it's not very pronounced because my low velocity value, the lowest value of the curve, if you like, is at 56. So let's pronounce it a bit more and take it down to 25. Let's have that still full. And we'll have that up. And if you change the range, that pattern will repeat over a shorter period. And of course, because I've got the note here, if I find that I like the rhythm, but maybe not the drum that it's playing, I can easily change it. In this case, it's hitting the low tom on the 909. Now it's got 16 patterns. All of them can run at once. That's equivalent to most of the drum racks that are in Ableton Live. And you can switch on and off as will, simply by selecting the pattern and turning it on or off. Let's change this up. Let's have a different level of hits and change that to something completely random. Where's the high tom mid? So that's going to be 9. Let's try 9. We'll turn that on. Oh, I know, I've done that wrong. That's a hi-hat close. I can't even count. Being in isolation, it's driving me mad. Let's change the rate up to something other. It's quite static on the velocity, obviously, because it's flat. And you can just lose hours playing around with different number of hits, different lengths of patterns, the polyrhythms that evolve from it. Really great fun. Available now with Push and Push 2 integration from Isotonic Studios. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy, stay home. Cheers. I've even run out of drink. Bye.